As we wait for John Kerry, let's go straight to Jerusalem, where David Rubin, former mayor of Shiloh, Israel, frequent guest to the show. He's also the president and founder of the Shiloh Israel Children's Fund, which, by the way, runs a therapeutic center for terror victim children in Israel. Joining us now, David, thank you so much. As we wait to hear from John Kerry, what I'd like you to do is explain the significance of this resolution just taken by the UN Security Council, and why is it important? What could you explain that to our audience?
Well, what we see here is a parting shot from the Obama administration. It's actually the culmination of 8 hostile years towards Israel. And you would think, as a lame duck president, that we wouldn't see such a thing. But Obama, doesn't seem to know any limits, and he just went forward and gave Israel a nice blast. What we see is that this resolution says that Israel demands that Israel stop all of what they call settlement building in Judea and Samaria. They call it the West Bank, which is a fictional term, not a historical term. But Judea and Samaria is the region in the central part of Israel, with Jerusalem right at its heart. And those are the areas that Obama and Kerry are demanding that Israel stop all building in. So
we assume that Donald Trump, based on his tweets, is not happy with this situation. Are you confident he can block this resolution, essentially reverse what's been done?
Oh, it certainly could be done. There's not even a question about that. But the damage, though, is done, and the Palestinian Authority and their band of terrorists, which basically, let me just point this out very clearly. The Palestinian Authority consists of the Hamas terrorist organization, the Fatah terrorist organization, and the Islamic Jihad terrorist organization. That is what comprises these people who say that they want to have an independent state, who claim that they have an independent state. In fact, I even heard you refer to it as Palestine, a speech about Israel and Palestine. There never was a Palestine. Mm-hmm. Anyone who tells me that there was a country, an independent country called Palestine, a sovereign nation called Palestine, I want them to show me who was the leader of that independent country. I'd like to know in what year that independent country was founded, in what year it ceased to exist as a nation. It never was a nation. And it's all a bluff, it's all fiction, and it's what Newt Gingrich referred to as an invented people.
David, stay right there. Just happening moments ago, President-elect Trump in front of the cameras in Mar-a-Lago, just popping out for a brief second. He's down in Florida. There he is in the week between Christmas and New Year's, down in Florida. Be interesting to see whether we get any tweets from him after we've heard from John Kerry, who we are waiting for. He's going to be speaking to the media at the State Department down in Washington, D.C., laying out, we are told, his vision for Israel and, well, I say Palestine. We heard from David. He doesn't even recognize Palestine.
Well, 2 things are happening. First, Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel has actually tweeted a thank you to President-elect Trump, and he said in the tweet, President-elect Trump, thank you for your warm friendship and your clear-cut support for Israel. In response to David, yes, he brings up issues, the history of what's gone on since the Zionist movement of the late 1800s to the UN resolution that created the State of Israel. We get it, and I'm talking to you, David, as a Jew who absolutely supports Israel. But how do the settlements, I'm not talking Jerusalem and East Jerusalem, which has historically had a Jewish neighborhood for centuries, but how do the Israelis gain anything by continuing to expand settlements in what some people call the West Bank, what you call Judea and Samaria, which is the ancient biblical land? What does Israel gain by continuing to do that?
Well, for one thing, we have justice on our side, and I think it's important to state that. You cannot learn about Israel and try to understand the situation today in Israel without understanding the history. I live in a place called Shiloh, or in Hebrew we call it Shiloh. This is where the capital of Israel stood for 369 years okay, longer than the existence of the United States of America. 369 years, the capital of Israel was Shiloh, which is in the heart of Samaria. Now, that was before Jerusalem was even the capital. So we're talking about justice being on our side. We're talking about a nation that was sovereign here for over 1,000 years, and Samaria and Judea were historically they were a central part of Israel during that time period of some 1,000 years. So you can't ignore that.
No, you can't ignore that. But then what I hear you saying, and when I hear my fellow Jews talking about Judea, Samaria, what I hear is not a two-state solution, a one-state solution, it being Israel. And when I hear people in the United States who are part of the BDS movement, they talk about a one-state solution called Palestine. I don't see how this moves forward in any way.
Well, look, we're talking about a country which, including Judea and Samaria, is about the size of New Jersey. So I don't think that it's realistic. On that, I agree. On that, I agree with Israel's enemies. That it is not realistic to take a country that's the size of New Jersey and carve out the center of the country, place in that center of the country an independent Islamic terrorist state, and say that there's going to be peace. It just doesn't work. The land for peace formula has never worked. It didn't work in Gaza, and there's no way that it can work in Judea and Samaria.
David, stay right there. We're going to come back to you after we hear from Secretary Kerry when he speaks, and we'll get your thoughts on that. I want to move on to our next.